It is often said that when people travel, they travel with their culture. However, quite often, some travel and they lose hold of their culture. Today, we're going to talk with someone who traveled for technological educational reasons, but never lost sight of her culture. We're talking to Madame Sabina Jules, who is on a mission to change the way people eat. And I want you to find out why she's so passionate, why she's so driven to take her flavors from Africa into the heartlands of America, from the hinterlands of Africa into the heartlands of America with special, delicate flavors, spicy flavors that are changing American palate. Good morning, good afternoon, viewers. I don't know where you're joining from. Join us in studio. This is the Story Warrior channel, and today we are fortunate enough to have Madame Sabina Jules. Madame Jules, tell us where you're joining from today.
Hello to all your viewers. My name is Sabina Jules. I am the owner and chef at Motherland Kitchen, aka Flavorland, as my customers call it. Um, we are right here in Frederick, Maryland, in the suburbs of the DC metro area. That's where we make it happen, and we take it out to every corner of the DMV that we can. So we either take the food to the people or they come here to enjoy the flavors from the motherland and also listen to me passionately describe how we eat in Africa and how we used to eat when I was growing up, which is a long time. And I brought that forward as my mission to make
Mm.
people eat clean, which means eat foods that give you nutrients and not toxins.
Oh my God, that is very, very interesting. Now, I'm a little familiar with the DMV, the DC, the Maryland and Virginia, Northern Virginia area. But you say you are out in Frederick.
Frederick,
That's like locating, hiding
North.
it away from far away from the main body of the population. Why did you choose to locate so far away from the heartlands of DC and Maryland and Virginia?
Okay, so once you say DC, you're talking about money. Everything is expensive. So to
Mhm.
have a brick and mortar like I have here in Frederick, it will cost me like 5 times what I pay for rents out here.
I
So
see.
people always say, if the food is good, they will drive to you. And I can tell you, there's not a single day I don't have customers coming from Washington, D.C., Virginia, West Virginia.
No
The
kidding.
majority of my customers come from Martinsburg, West Virginia, Hagerstown, Chambersburg in Pennsylvania,
Mhm.
York,
Yeah.
Mechanicsburg. They come from Baltimore. So people will drive if they know that it is worth their effort.
Mm. It is said one way to get into a person's head, to get into a man's head, or maybe a woman's head, is through the mouth. So what you're
Exactly.
saying is that Motherland Kitchen has succeeded not only to get into the olfactory system with your flavors and your spices, but you've gotten hold of their hearts. They have to drive. I
Exactly.
can imagine if somebody's driving from York, I'm a little familiar with that area, it could be well over an hour. If
Yes.
somebody's driving from Mechanicsburg and all those places, or from West Virginia, it could be even an hour and a half or 2 hours.
Yes.
That means you surely are having something special within
Yes.
Motherland Kitchen. Tell me, what is the size of Motherland Kitchen? How many people can you serve at the same time?
We have indoors, inside of the restaurant, we can seat um, 36, and then outside we can seat 20.
Wow,
Yes.
wow, wow. That's quite a bit. That's quite a bit. And I think with your location in Frederick, you have the benefit of more space, both
Yes.
probably indoors and outdoors, and it should be a very good location. And from there, of course, you have your arteries, you have is it the 495 or whatever. You can send food into DC, You can send it to Virginia. You can send it to all the locations around the metropolis. So from your base in Frederick, you're saying you can supply a corporate client, a family client, a special event in any part of the DC, Maryland, and Virginia area. Is that what you're saying, madam?
Exactly. And we go to events because our niche here at Motherland Kitchen is vegan food.
Oh.
Because remember, I said when I was growing up, which is a long time ago, we
before Christ, right?
yes, we ate vegan.
Okay.
And believe me, the food was tasty. Very, very tasty. We did not miss the meat. We did not envy those whose parents could afford to buy meat or chicken until a long time when my mom could afford to buy meat and add to our food on special occasions and maybe on Sundays, because Sunday for a Catholic family was a holiday because we go to church, everybody goes to church, come back, and my mom would have something made with some kind of meat or fish or chicken. So those were special. Christmas Day, New Year's Day, Big Day Maria, which is August 15. Those were the days we actually could enjoy some meat. But otherwise, our foods were vegan and they were very tasty. So when I opened the restaurant, I said to myself, I have to be inclusive. Because I had gone back to school and studied food, health, and nutrition. Besides being a computer scientist, I decided, I said, if I'm going to go into the food industry, let me at least understand the relationship between food and your health. And food is not, we don't just eat for eating's sake. We should eat to live. So if you're eating to live, you're eating to give your body the nutrients that it needs to make you live a happy and long life.
Wow.
So I went back to school and I did a certification. And when I opened the restaurant, I said, okay, there are these people that call themselves vegans and vegetarians. Who are these? And I studied and found out that there were three things that they needed. One, satiation. How do they fill up? Most vegans turn to eat too much because when they depend on soups and salads and breadsticks, stuff like that, they don't really feel satisfied. Their brain doesn't tell them that your stomach is full, you can stop eating. So the next thing was, where do they get flavors from? Those of us or those, because now I joined the bandwagon of veganism. I don't deal with meat anymore.
Wow.
But when I used to, we would cook with chicken broth, beef, turkey, all the meat products, the smoked fish, the crayfish, all the things that quote unquote give flavor to our foods, because that's how we cook in Africa.
Yes.
But so when I got to know that there were these people that eat none of those, they all want clean eating. That is food that is whole, has nothing to do with anything that is added to their plant-based food. So I said, they need herbs. So I started putting together different combination of my herbs to give flavor to every single dish that I make.
I see. Wow.
The third thing that I discovered was there is B12. That's a vitamin that we all need for various reasons. It's very essential for your brain and your energy. Now, where do vegans get their B12 if they are not going to be eating any animal product? Because B12 is actually produced in the gut of animals. And when I say animals, I mean every animal, even crickets, even penguin. I don't know what the technical name for penguin is. All those, you know, the
insects.
Yeah, the insects that come out of the palm I don't know
Yeah.
what their technical name is.
Yes.
If you eat those things, you still get B12.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, you get B12. So, but vegans will not eat any of those. So where would they get their B12 from?
Great
So,
question.
so my mission is figure out how to give them foods that have some amount of B12 and
Mm-hmm.
educate them when they come into the restaurant to
Mm-hmm.
say, if you are trying to become vegan and stay vegan, take note of the fact that you need to supplement on B12 because your plant based foods, 99% of the time, will not have B12. You have B vitamins from so many plants.
Mm-hmm.
Vegetables give you B vitamins, but
Okay.
B12 in particular, no. So these were the
Okay.
three things that I found, and I decided to find a solution in my restaurant the way I set up the menu, such
Mm-hmm.
that vegans come here and they go home happy.
Wow.
So
Okay.
how do
That
they
is a
feel?
very interesting.
We're going to talk about fufu when we get there, and I'll tell you.
We'll definitely talk about that. But here's what I want our viewers to understand. Africa has 1.2 or 1.3 billion people, and different parts of Africa have different specialties, have different flavors. From your attire, your traditional attire, it gives away some portion of it, but maybe it's not obvious to everyone. So, to our viewers in Asia, in Middle East, in Europe, in America, and those who travel a lot to Africa, can you give a little bit about your origin and that special regalia that you're wearing and the flavors that you represent? Do you represent all Africa or just some portions of Africa in terms of your cuisine?
Okay, the name Motherland Kitchen, I came up with the name because I decided to be inclusive
Thank
and
you.
cook in my restaurant, cook food that every person from sub-Saharan Africa who walked into the restaurant would recognize something. So
Okay.
that is the reason why I called my restaurant Motherland Kitchen.
And
Even
that's
the
not a bad
entire
name.
Africa.
That's not a bad name because everybody got a mother.
Yeah.
So,
So
okay, all
even if
right.
even if
So,
you are from the Maghreb, which is the northern
northern
Africa,
part, yes.
you would still recognize something because they eat a lot of stews and a lot of
Fufu.
lamb and meat up there, which I do have.
Okay.
But the other things like the couscous and some of the stuff that I don't do, but still,
Hmm.
I cover like 80% of Africa. So
Okay.
that's where the name comes from. So now, when it comes to seasoning the food,
No, your outfit. Tell us about the origin of your outfit, if you don't mind, and then you can talk
okay,
about. We'll come
my
to the seasoning.
outfit is from generally Cameroon because Cameroon has adopted this Togo as a national outfit for the country.
Okay.
But I am from,
The world famous Togo. Hmm.
yes, I'm from Bamenda. I would say I'm a Quen girl of Banso origin. So I was
Hmm.
born in Quen, in Bamenda, in the northwest region of Cameroon. But my parents came from Bui division. So I'm a Banso girl by blood, uh, but born and bred in Quen.
Hmm.
So I am so proud of where I come from. And when I go to official events, um, to cater for like an African event or maybe an American event where they want African food and I'm catering, I dress with this. So I made my chef attire and my chef hat to
Hmm.
represent the colors of the Northwest region.
Fantastic. But as you say, your flavors represent different parts of Africa. So if somebody from East Africa, from Southern Africa, walks into Motherland Kitchen, would they see ugali? I have a lot of friends from Rwanda, from Kenya. They know something called ugali. Friends from Southern Africa, Botswana, Zimbabwe, they eat something called papa, or it's more like a fufu corn, or corn fufu. Friends from Senegal who eat peanut butter soup. So tell me, what do you serve? What's on your menu today? This
Okay,
is a this is a Friday.
so that takes
Almost coming to Labor Day. So what's going to be on the menu today at
So that
Motherland Kitchen?
takes me back. That takes me back to the vegan section of my menu.
Okay.
So the way I set up my menu, there is the first page, which is for omnivores. So everybody who eats everything.
The
So you be,
omnivores, the
yeah,
omnivores, those omnivores, they're always chasing the carnivores. The carnivores
yeah,
are chasing the
yeah.
herbivores.
So now the second page is my vegan page. And I deliberately made all my sides vegan.
Okay.
Every side dish in my restaurant is vegan. So my idea is I'm trying to be inclusive. So take for instance, someone from Kenya walks in, and if because you definitely can tell that they are Kenyan, and I'll be like, okay, if you're Kenyan, I have ugali, I have nyama choma, I have kachumbari.
The question then is, do you cook it the way that Kenyans would cook? Of course, I think that's part of your trade. So,
Okay, good. Now the thing is, I tell them, well, you should be happy that I do have ugali at the restaurant,
okay,
even though it is not going to be the white corn that you are
okay.
used to in Kenya. So
Mhm.
just be happy and eat my version, because my thing is I'm trying to be inclusive. I
Mhm.
try to make sure that everybody who knows ugali from uh, West Africa to East Africa, all the way to Cape Town, they will call it pap, they will call it nsima, they will call
Mhm.
it ugali, they will call it tuwo in northern Nigeria, they call it,
Mhm.
everybody walks in, they will see that corn fufu that we know in Cameroon.
Amazing. I love to hear that. I'm getting a little hungry now. I have to warn you. So maybe you have to airlift something to me through FedEx because you're making me hungry. But so you're catering for cross-continental flavors.
Yes.
Now, tell me, when did Motherland Kitchen open? Because I know we just jumped right in. We started making a splash. We're diving so quick. But tell us, when did it open?
Okay, Motherland Kitchen actually started on Windy Hill Road in Marietta, Georgia. And that's when I got burnt out from my IT work. And I
Yep.
decided to follow my passion, which is cooking and cooking healthy and tasty food.
Mm-hmm.
And so I did 3 years on Marietta, on Windy Hill Road in Marietta.
Hmm.
And after those 3 years, I was completely, totally burnt out.
And what year was
One of
that?
the one of the reasons, excuse me,
Which year was that, if you don't mind?
that was 2009.
Okay, so it's been quite a while, more than a decade. Okay.
Yes.
Hmm.
So um, why I was burnt out was because I came in as a computer scientist, going into cooking and managing a business. The
Mm-hmm.
cooking part was a breeze because I've been cooking since I was 9.
Mm-hmm.
Back home, parents make us start frying plantain, doing little things, start cooking young. And I had my dodo school when I was in secondary school, frying plantains and fish and greens by the road there on Ghana Street in Quen, and selling it and making little money to buy my stuff to go back to school.
Mm-hmm.
So cooking for me is a second nature.
Okay.
But managing a business was something
Interesting.
that I'd never done at that kind of scale.
Mm-hmm.
So after 3 years, I was totally burnt out. And there's something about restaurants which is called location, location, location.
And in addition to that, they're labor intensive. So if you were still working
Yeah,
your IT job and trying to manage that, I can see how the burnout can easily come in. But let's talk
yeah,
about location before we come to the IT part.
yes. So um, I struggled, and after 3 years, I shut down. Why did I stay 3 years? Because my lease was 3 years. And I said to myself, I have to just be persistent, stay the course, and
Mm-hmm.
finish the lease so that I
Mm-hmm.
come out clean. Because who knows, I might do a second run at this and I
Mm-hmm.
need a reference. And
Mm-hmm.
that really helped because the second time around, I used my Marietta experience with my new landlord,
Mm-hmm.
and they believed me that, oh, she did it before.
Mm-hmm.
So I,
Yeah.
I shut it down after 3 years, went back to IT
Mm-hmm.
and worked for another maybe 8 years. moved from Georgia to Tennessee and to back to Maryland, and worked for Social Security as a database admin. And my friends, because I would take food to work, my boss realized that I love to cook. So when they have an event at work, she'll give money and I cook and bring the food. But let me tell you, the fact that I would cook and be paid did not mean I have to take time off work. I either take my vacation time and do that, or cook the food, still come to work like everybody else. So I would cook the food and I'll still be at work at 9. And I'll bring like 8 pans of food. My colleagues will be like, are you crazy? How in the world do you cook so much food and you are here before people who just went to bed and woke up in the morning and came to work? I say, well, where there is the way, where there is the will, there is the way.
Wow.
You just have to plan and you have things done. So down the road, they convinced me that if I'm so passionate about the food and I can cook so much food in such time and bring it to work, why don't I just go get a restaurant? I said, well, I did it before. I think I would do it again, but this time with some experience on my back. So I decided to take my leap of faith and jump into it again. But this time, went back to school, studied food, health, nutrition, so that when I come the second time around, I have more to offer than just the food that I cook.
Yes. And it has proven to be a great breakthrough. Isn't that true?
Yes.
Both financially, economically, socially, because I now know that you have some programs. You even have a cooking show, if I'm not mistaken, or so you more than just cooking, you have a cooking show. Tell us about your show and who are the people that come to participate or witness.
The cooking show is actually a tape. So I have a producer who comes in from Washington, D.C., and then takes the videos and goes, edits and then puts them up. So if you go to Motherland Kitchen on YouTube, you watch me cooking.
No kidding.
So I have what is actually called a cooking class. So I have the cooking show, which is just cook and show people what you're doing. But when it comes to actually giving you the recipe step by step and answering questions if you are cooking and you have issues, it has to be monetized. So there is a company called Mighty Networks. They host all the videos, and I upload the recipes for those who pay for the class. So think about this, like you have Udemy, where people go and pay a fee and take a class and learn whatever they wish to learn.
Yes,
it's the same thing. So Mighty Networks, you log on to my class,
I know
you pay a little fee,
Mhm.
and they host all my videos, and I just keep adding the videos every month. Yeah, but I do have a class in my community college. So this is what the customers have done. They've been coming and eating, and one day a lady came up to me and said, it is amazing how vegan food here is so tasty. Is there any chance you would like to teach at the community college so older people who want to go plant-based can come in and learn? So I told her, I said, of course. I mean, the community has been very, very helpful in growing my business, in putting me in the limelight and so on. They've been writing on newspapers. I've been on radio shows. I've been on TV shows. So I can give back to the community.
Amazing.
So I decided to take the position of adjunct lecturer at the community college here in Frederick. So we just started, and believe me, the students, they're just like, you have changed our lives. These are young girls, middle-aged girls, even men. Because remember, I said when the school contacted me, I said, the food is tasty, but what I know is that people who want to be vegan, they're having a hard time
Mhm.
figuring out what to cook, how to give it flavor.
Yeah.
I think that's where I can come in and make a difference. So I'm
Mm.
ready to write up a course to
Mhm.
teach African veganism at the
Mhm.
community college. So it is
Mm.
there. This semester just started and we've had a couple of classes. And
Wow.
and in the spring semester, the course will also run. And also, the director just told me that a neighboring community college has asked for my information and she's going to be forwarding. I said, go ahead and forward it. I so when I say look for your purpose and make a living and a life, because life is not about money. Life is about happiness. And when you are happy, your stress level goes down. So when that cortisol is down, you are happy because it takes away the illnesses.
And on that note, I want to sound off my African vuvuzela in appreciation and a big applause to you for not only making food that people like to eat, but now education, community colleges are now asking you to come and teach them African veganism, which I did not even know existed. I didn't even know there's such a word in Africa because I thought everybody is carnivore. Okay, very good, Madame Jules. I appreciate this insight that I'm getting. Now, do you see how things are falling together? I don't know. I'm sure you've noticed it. You came from Africa to study IT,
Yes.
excelled in that world, and now you went and studied a little bit of gastronomy and cooking and all of that and nutrition, and you're now setting up programs online. You're setting programs on mighty networks and all of that. Do you see how all of this is coming together? It's no longer because if you give another person who doesn't have a background in IT, like what's mighty networks, they'll be lost. But you're a database manager, you're a database administrator. So you can combine those skills now in your data, in your outreach to your customers and all of that. But my question to you is, did you see from the very start all these things happening? All some are just beginning to fall in place now. You're like, oh my God, I never saw this starting out. Did you see all of this coming through?
No. But something that has always been with me, and I think my friends can vouch for that, is the teacher in me.
The educator in you.
Yes,
Yes.
because way back in secondary school, and I'll give a shout out here to my great secondary school in Cameroon, Our Lady of Lourdes Secondary School, Bamenda. That's where I got my foundation.
I have heard a lot about Our Lady of Lords. They're good people, and they're all over the place. They're positive influencers, and a little bit too holy sometimes because you guys came through schools that run by nuns. So
Yes,
okay, all right. I don't
yes.
want to comment any further.
Okay. Yeah, a Lady of Lourdes, but what my fellow students will laugh about is that I was a chemistry student. I did
Fair enough.
not take the cookery class.
Fair
So
enough.
they are shocked that today
You're making a
I am
living
championing cooking.
and making a
But
living from what they could not make.
yeah, but the thing is, again, I need to give a shout out to my mom of blessed memory, my elder sister who is still alive, and all my mother's sisters on Ghana Street in Queen who have all passed on, but they taught me how to cook.
They passed on, but they passed on their values and their
Yes,
flavors to you, and now
yes,
you're using their flavors to flavor the world. No
yes.
wonder
So
they call
now,
you Flavorland.
yes. So my education from Lord's and to college in New Jersey when I came to do computer science, those have helped me now to structure what I do. So,
Very
being a
impressive.
computer scientist and running a database, there's something called consistency in our database world. And those who are watching, they know when you talk about consistency in a database, that's one of the most important. Your database has to be consistent. to stay up and running and do what it's supposed to do.
Yes.
So I brought that knowledge into my kitchen because I said, why would somebody come back if they ate in my restaurant?
Mm.
The dish has to be consistent
All right.
in how it was made.
I bet that's why people go to KFC, they go to McDonald's because of the consistency.
Exactly. Because there's no day you go to McDonald's and your fries or your whatever burger, cheeseburger, whatever would be different. It will be the same. So there is no day you will come to Motherland Kitchen and the food will be different. If it is different, I can guarantee you it will taste better.
Okay, so talk about staffing. Staffing a restaurant, which is a labor-intensive business, it's a big challenge.
Yes.
And you are talking about consistency. So tell me about how many chefs do you have? How many sous chefs do you have? How many, I don't know the names. There's so many of them. People who are preparing, people who are in logistics. Tell us about both the front office and the back office of Motherland Kitchen that ensures the food is consistent. So if I start to call my friends in DMV and say, hey, please go check out Motherland Kitchen because the next time I come to town, I want us to go there. I'm a vegetarian. We'll come into that very soon. But tell me, how do you ensure, notwithstanding all the challenges in restoration industry with labor, that the food is consistent, that the people that are preparing are doing a good job?
Okay, good. Now, let's not even worry about the staffing and stuff. Consistency in the kitchen means I have put in place processes that are followed on a daily basis.
Okay.
So take, for instance, if we are going to make jollof rice, which is vegan in our restaurant. We don't use no animal product at all, no cube Maggi and all those things. No, it is vegan.
Will it taste good?
It is mighty tasty. Because
I gotta come and check that.
Come and check it out. Because food is about what? Herbs. Tasty food is about herbs, not salt, not MSG, and not additives. It's about herbs.
I gotta try that to believe it.
Okay. So now to answer your question about consistency.
Yes, ma'am.
I have the processes in place. And the processes go as far back as what? The type of tomatoes that I use.
Okay.
So which means there's a particular store and a particular brand that I buy.
Okay. I was going to be coming to sourcing very soon, but let's talk about that consistency first because that's very, very important.
Yeah. So everything is written down with the type of tomatoes, the type of onions that we use. So some dishes we use the purple onions, some dishes we use the white sweet onions. So everything is documented. Remember, I wrote my first cookbook published in 2014, the Motherland Cookbook. And then I did not know what I know now, running this restaurant on a daily basis and putting in the consistency that I brought from my database world. So, and a second version of the cookbook will come out, God willing, by January, February. And it's going to be the vegan version of the Motherland Cookbook.
Very interesting. So, sourcing wise, where do you source most of your ingredients from? It looks like it's very different from what we would expect in most other kitchens where they use salt, they use Maggi and all the other things that make it tastier.
Okay. So our foods, like I say, based on the herbs that we use to give flavor to the food so that we don't have to use too much salt and all the other things that traditional restaurants would use. typically African restaurants will use.
Mhm.
So I have another business called Motherland Spices. And that was my inspiration was again the customers.
Mhm.
When they ate back in the days in Georgia, they would say, "Oh, by the way, what did you put in the rice and beans?
Mhm.
Oh, by the way, what did you put in the jollof rice? What did you put in the greens? What did you put in the okra?" So I started thinking, I'm like, if people enjoy these flavors so much that they're asking me what I put in there, how about if I start blending and bottling those seasonings so that when they eat and as they're going out, I sell
Mhm.
it to them.
Yes,
One, I'll be helping them. Two, I'm growing my business.
absolutely.
So I came up with
Multiple products.
Motherland Spices. And
Mhm.
it's a business by itself. Motherlandspices.com have all the herbs that I bottle and sell. So
Mhm.
we blend, we buy the base from home.
From
I can
Africa.
tell you, I can tell you that the um, the African basil that
Mhm.
I use a lot in my kitchen
Mhm.
comes from my mother's village in Banso.
Wow.
So I have a
Wow.
cousin. I told him, I said, don't think we are abroad. Life is easy. Life is not. It's just a little bit better than home, but it's tough. But if you can help me, I will help you. So if you make uh, cutting and drying the African basil your job, you
Mhm.
have a life because I will be buying it from you. So don't tell me, I will just make this and send it to sister. No, there will be a quantity that I need at certain intervals and I'll pay a certain amount. So you work it out and let me know. So
Mhm.
once you get that quantity done, drop it at my mother's house in Quinn. And then my sister who lives in the house will call me and said, I got a bag of African basil from the village.
And then
And I'll send the
they'll,
money.
sh- they'll ship it over to you.
Yes, I'll worry about how it gets to me. But then you get your money and you can start drying and packaging it again.
And that's more or less what you do for all the other spices. Is that what you're
Yes,
saying?
yes. The
Wow. Wow.
jansa, the pebe. So I have people that if you cannot go look for it yourself,
Mhm.
go buy it, package it, and then tell me how much it is. I ship it here and I send you the money. Even the
Wow.
goosey that I use for the pumpkin seed stew
Mhm.
comes from home. So they buy the goosey. Instead of sitting around, they crack it, they
Yes.
blow it, they pick all the dirt out. So
Mhm.
I know that what I'm getting is the real deal.
Mhm.
And there's no dirt, even though when it comes, I still have to it's on ground. So
Do
I
quality
soak it
control.
and wash it and
Mhm.
then I cook it. So
Wow.
yeah.
That is intense. So
So
you have
that
a separate department just for logistics.
yes. Yes.
Wow. At the moment, about how many people are working within Motherland, the kitchen, and maybe the spices within US, not including those back home in Africa?
Okay. Right now we're just four of us and it's tough because to tell you the truth, uh the other three are part-time. I'm the only full-time person here.
Mhm.
It is tough for several reasons. Um, to get unskilled labor in the suburbs is tough.
Yes.
And secondly, um, the market itself
Mhm.
makes it very difficult for people to want to stay in the suburbs. Everybody wants to go where they can have
Mhm.
higher paying jobs.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
so I just depend on part-time work and I do the full-time work, which
Yeah.
is very strenuous, very hard,
Mhm.
but hard work is good work
Yes.
when
Every day. Every day.
when it pays off, and
It's
not only
rewarding.
financially, but
Yes.
the joy that you give to people comes back to you hundredfold.
Yes. And so, would you say Motherland Kitchen, with all the experience, it has broken even, it is doing well financially, is moving forward, is beginning to think about a new outfit somewhere else? Do you say it's growing? Do you say it has a future for franchising? Do you say it has a future for creating new branches in other places because you made me hungry. I'm in Dallas, Texas. I was like, okay, I wish there's a branch here. I can go and have some vegetarian food because I'm a vegetarian. So, is it doing well financially and is beginning to consider new operations?
It is doing well financially in the sense that from the get-go, we're not making money, but we're breaking even. We haven't had a loan to pay anything. Motherland Kitchen has been paying its bills.
Kudos, kudos,
It's been
kudos.
paying its bills.
I'm sure Uncle Sam also likes that. One blast to Uncle Sam. Because Uncle Sam likes businesses that are afloat, because
Yes.
they may come and get a little bite of that. They get a little chunk of that, isn't it?
Yeah. Secondly, you asked me the growth process.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, we have been licensed by the state of Pennsylvania to sell frozen dinners. Meal prep is a big thing now.
Mhm.
And I jumped into meal prep again with my passion for vegan food, which I know is clean eating.
Mhm.
And it has just taken off in
Like
Pennsylvania.
like a rocket.
Yes.
Okay,
And
good.
all I get is thank you, ma'am. Thank you for cooking for us. This food is
Wow.
fantastic. Thank you
Wow.
so much. Thank you. It's
Wow.
thank you, thank you, thank you for 4 hours that I go to deliver the food
Mhm.
in Pennsylvania.
That is amazing. I'm
So,
so glad for you.
yeah, so it's not only the vegans, even those who eat meat, they also come and pick up food for the week. So the
Okay.
frozen dinners is something that I think is the way forward.
Okay. And
Because
what do you
65,
mean by frozen dinners?
okay,
Because I'm old school. I don't know what's a frozen, what's not frozen. All I know that frozen is coming out of the deep freezer. So what's frozen dinners?
exactly. So what happens is that we deliver the food on Saturday. So between Monday, we start shopping. Tuesday, Wednesday, we cook all the food, we package the food, and we put them in commercial freezers.
Mhm.
And then Saturday morning, we put them in coolers and take them to Pennsylvania, to specifically Gettysburg.
Yeah.
And that's where our customers come to pick up the food.
Wow. And they're mostly from Pennsylvania or from all around the
It's just
neighboring states?
around Pennsylvania because it's their
Okay.
town. But then
Okay.
those who are here in Frederick and maybe those who are in Washington D.C., especially the vegans, if they're going to drive an hour to come here to eat, most of the time they also pick up some frozen dinners to take with them.
Wow. Tell me
Yeah.
about the use of Uber, DoorDash. Are you on Uber? Are you on Uber Eats? Are you working with
I used to be
DoorDash?
on Uber Eats and stuff, but now I'm maintaining DoorDash. And the only reason I'm maintaining DoorDash is because DoorDash is kind of small business friendly
Mhm.
in
Okay.
terms of their charges,
Yeah.
and they have a wider area that they cover.
Okay.
Yes,
That is
so
interesting.
people that are further away from the restaurant can actually go on DoorDash and order the food.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Very interesting. Now I know that it is you're in a suburb, and most of the African community, the expats or expatriates from Africa or whatever economic status they have, they may be living not so much in the outskirts like Frederick. But tell me, who are most of your customers? Who are your patrons? Is it Africans?
Okay.
And first of all, when you talk about veganism, I don't know if it's very popular within Africa. I'm a
Okay, that
vegetarian, or what some people call pescatarian. But my big question is, who are your patrons? Are they mostly Africans? And if so, are Africans really vegans? And
okay,
if
good.
not, who are the people that really patronize your business to a large extent?
Good. 90% of my customers are of Caucasian
Descent.
descent.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other 10%,
Mm-hmm.
I would say 1% would be Indian, 1% would be Chinese, 1% would be Middle Eastern,
Mm-hmm.
then 5% would be African American,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe 0.5 would be African, of all
Wow.
African countries.
That
The
is
reason is
interesting.
that
Mm-hmm.
Africans cook at home
That's true to a
and
large
they
extent.
all cook their way.
Yes, to a very
So
large extent, they cook at home. They don't have
yes,
an eating out culture. That's for
yes,
sure.
yes.
Yeah.
So when I was opening the restaurant, I did not have them in mind. If
Okay.
I did,
Is it because of your experience in Georgia, or is it because you had already done your market research?
I'd done my research and I knew that if I was opening for Africans in the suburb, I would have
You will not
failed before I start.
you will not exist. Okay.
Yes. So if you're in the
Very good.
city,
Yeah.
the Africans will come because most Africans in the city, they work 2, 3 jobs. They don't have time to cook. But in the suburbs, it's all families. And
Yes.
the mothers are always cooking. The grandmothers are cooking. Everybody. So those who are looking for this new flavor, which is the
Hmm.
African cuisine,
Hmm.
are Caucasian Americans, African Americans, and
Hmm.
then every other country.
Hmm.
Uh, then a few Africans will come.
Hmm.
For instance, the most of the time that I'll cook for Africans is when they have like an event. They come and
Hmm.
maybe they ask me to cater 1 or 2 items that
Hmm.
they cannot do.
Hmm.
Like, take for instance the fish.
Hmm.
Fish is a tough thing to season and give it
Yes.
flavor.
Yes.
So they might come for a pan of fish or pepper soup, goat pepper soup, stuff like that, because I have all the seasonings. They know that.
Hmm.
But otherwise, the people looking for this flavor are Caucasian Americans and African Americans, and everybody else who is not African.
It sounds pretty much like you say, 95% of your customers are not people who have strong roots in the motherland. But of
Yes,
course, food is food. Food tastes good everywhere you go. I've lived in Asia for well over 10 years and I enjoy food from there as much as anywhere else. Took a while to get used to. So my question then is, in terms of preparation, are you serving them authentic African cuisine as it used to be served in the motherland, or you are adapting to the local food palates, which is what your patrons would prefer?
okay. My answer to you is both.
Okay.
Why do I say both? Take, for instance, one of the most popular foods in terms of appreciation
Hmm.
here is corn fufu,
Hmm.
kati kati chicken,
Yes.
sorry,
Yes.
kati kati chicken, and
Yes.
greens.
No kidding.
Yes. And
And
as soon,
not so much the
no,
vegan
uh,
stuff, but kati kati
let's,
chicken certainly is a big departure from vegan.
yes,
And it, okay.
let's talk about it in 2 parts.
Yes.
For those people that eat meat,
Yeah.
kati kati, literally, when they
Yes.
eat, somebody will
Yes.
get up and tell me, ma'am, I feel like a plane just dropped me in heaven
Wow. 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 And that's
because of
something
the
I have never tested it. But
kati kati.
I know my family members enjoy it. I've never tested it. When I grew up back home, I did not even know about it. But people swear by it. They would do a headstand to get a small fragment. They'll go crazy to get even a bite. And I'm
Yes,
looking at it like I don't even understand why that is. But so you're saying kati kati is making waves.
yes, kati kati here in the restaurant is something. But
Okay.
then when you use the word authentic,
Mhm.
I cannot use the kind of chicken that we use back home. Our chicken is
Fair
free
enough.
range,
Yes.
and all those chicken back home, that's what
Yes.
we have.
Mhm.
So here, Africans would use the small, strong hen because
Mhm.
in their minds, it mimics the
Yes.
free
What?
range hen that we
Yes.
have back home.
That's right.
But because I'm in a restaurant setting and my audience is not necessarily Africans,
Mhm.
I use the regular chicken.
Okay. And
And
they
it
still
still comes out
and they
fantastic.
and they still lick their fingers.
Well,
They still go
because,
crazy.
like I said, food is about the herbs.
Yeah.
So I have all the seasonings. And somebody had asked me before, does kati kati have seasonings? Oh, yes.
Of
In
course.
Banso, we season kati kati and I sell the seasonings right here at the restaurant.
Okay.
So,
So
so,
after
so
kati kati, what is the next thing? The
the
next big
next
item that
thing,
people are going crazy over.
the next thing is mafi.
What is
Like
mafi?
they said, mafi is a Senegalese word for granite soup.
Okay. That's my
which,
best. That's my favorite.
uh-huh. So now,
Awesome. I would swear by that every day of the year. I would give anything that I'll give an arm and a leg. I give an ear and arm, anything to have a good taste of that because
yes.
that's what my
So,
mother raised me on that.
yeah. So the chicken peanut butter stew is a hit. So what did I do? I came up with a vegan version of the chicken peanut butter stew so that everybody can eat and enjoy peanut butter stew, the African dish.
Mm,
The
that is
next big thing
interesting.
is a goosey soup.
Okay.
A goosey soup sells because most people watch our Nigerian brothers and sisters on social media eating fufu and a goosey soup. So when they come to restaurant, they ask me, "Do you have egusi?" I say, "Yes, I have egusi." And the way they enjoy it, I said to myself, I need to come up with a vegan version. So I also have a vegan egusi soup for vegans. So that way, everybody can eat it and enjoy. So when it comes to authentic, I do have the authentic, and I have what my imagination has taken me to
Right.
come up with the same dishes but without the animal product.
That is interesting. Do you have okongobong?
I have okongobong.
What is
I
the English word for it? I don't know. If you maybe
um
you have it.
fluted pumpkin.
Roasted pumpkin. Okay.
Yes,
And
it's called
you have
ugu in the
ugu.
Nigerian terms.
So if
Ugu.
I make it out there in the next 6 weeks, I'll definitely be looking for fluted pumpkin. And a vegetarian version of that will go with what?
Oh, the vegetarian version goes with, it depends on how I make it, but typically, like we talked about satiation when it
Mhm,
comes to vegans, how do they fill up? I
mhm,
came up with 10 different fufu as an answer to the problem for vegans
mhm,
who normally would not be able to find stuff that fill them up,
mhm,
except maybe rice,
mhm,
beans,
mhm,
fries, you know.
mhm.
So I have 10 different fufu.
Give us two, three of them.
Well, you have corn and
Mhm.
blue corn.
Okay, I do not know about blue corn. Okay,
Yeah,
but what's the other? Yes,
blue corn. Again, remember here at the restaurant, my thing is not only food, but food and nutrition.
yes.
So I found out that blue corn has more antioxidants than blueberries. So
So blue corn comes from what? It's a real type
it,
of corn?
it's a real type of corn. It's corn, but it's blue. Remember, we always say eat your rainbows. So
Yeah,
eat colored food to
yeah.
get all the antioxidants and the nutrients. So
So
when
if I go look for blue corn, I can find it in the
you
stores
will
as
find blue corn flour in your store, and being in Texas and this
mhm.
thing coming from Mexico, I'm sure
Okay.
you'll be one of my sourcing agents for my blue corn flour.
I will be honored. So
Yeah.
there's corn, there's blue corn. What else?
Then there is um, the three different fufus that we make from cassava. Of course,
Yes.
the water fufu.
Yeah.
Then you have the kum kum.
Go water fufu. Go water fufu. I love water fufu.
Yes, and then you have gari.
Yes.
So
So
those
oh
three
my
are from
God.
cassava.
Those guys will
And
be
those
spoiled. Those vegans will be spoiled because these are options that you don't find in regular Western settings. So I
yes,
think that will definitely
and
ring.
they love the cassava fufu like crazy. I mean, I cannot tell you how many I make a day. When I ask them, why do you eat this thing? They're like, it tastes good.
And I remember during one of our conversations before we set up this conversation, you said fufu is trending. I was like, that is very interesting. I don't
Yes,
know if it's trending on Twitter, it's trending on Yahoo, but as long as it's trending, I'm happy. So is it trending at Motherland Kitchen or it's
it's
trending in
trending
terms
at,
of
it's,
Fredericksburg
tre-
or
I
Frederick
just
City?
named five of them. Now let's go to the most important as far as I am concerned
Yes,
now.
in terms of trending. Yeah.
Not trending yet, but it will trend because I'm on a mission to
Yeah.
educate and get more people eating this number six, which is fonio.
What is
Fonio
that?
is millet.
Okay, millet. Yes.
Millet. It grows in the Sahel region of Africa.
Yes.
So if we take from southern Chad, northern Cameroon,
I've heard about
all
it
the
actually.
way to Senegal,
Yeah.
and have like maybe Guinea, Conakry, Sierra
Yes.
Leone.
Yes.
They all grow fonio, which is a type of millet.
Is it tasty, and is it rich in antioxidants? I think I've heard some things like that, and they're also is it nutritious? Is it proteinaceous? What is the big deal about millet?
Okay, good. So millet is the oldest grain in the world, believe it or not.
Even
But
before corn,
yes,
before cassava.
in, when I grew up, I remember my mom would send us to what is called Hausa Quarter today in Bamenda
Mhm.
to go buy the millet grain, and they'll make a porridge out
Mm.
of it to
Mhm.
give to someone who had a baby and the milk was not flowing well, so they couldn't breastfeed.
Mhm.
How these people knew this nutritional sciences, I don't know, but it worked.
That's the power of indigenous knowledge, which is one of the reasons why I thought I should ask you to come onto the Story Warrior channel, because this channel is for unsung heroes with untold stories. Now
Thank
you're
you.
bringing out one little part, which is indigenous knowledge that most people do not know. And that was at the back of my mind. Maybe you could not see this, but I'm happy. Tell us the power of millet as the oldest grain in the world, and how
Yes,
our mothers knew that it could even help a woman to breastfeed better.
yes, because if you are going to be breastfeeding, you need a lot of protein, you, the mother.
Absolutely.
So, millet ofonio is very high in protein,
Mhm.
it is high in fiber,
Mhm.
it has iron, it has
Wow.
magnesium, it
Wow.
has copper.
Mhm.
So, look at all the phytonutrients that come with this grain.
That's unbelievable.
And the fact that it's high in protein, and then it is low on the glycemic index, which means the carbohydrate level is
No,
very
see,
low. So what does that
I
tell
mean,
you?
I'm probably going to change to it because I have started doing intermittent fasting to
Good.
improve my health. So if that is the deal, I'll be getting some straight from Amazon while pending the time that I come to Flavorland to be able to
Okay,
test
good.
it right in person. Yeah.
Yes. So check your local Target,
Yes.
because there is this chef that actually brought the idea of millet to America. His name is Pierre Cham. He's in New
Pierre
York.
Cham. Pierre
Pierre
Cham.
Cham.
Where is he
Yes,
from?
from Senegal.
All right, we need to do another session. Me, you, and Pierre. We do
Yes,
a
yes.
panel discussion about
He's
indigenous African food.
yeah,
Why is it that
he's
for
big.
thousands of years Africans have always kept some of these secrets away? Because let's be honest, and I'm not cutting you short here. Most other cultural groups, like the Chinese, have exported their food very much to the West. The Asians to a large extent, but Africans have not succeeded in exporting their cultural gastronomic taste to the West, and that's a loss for us because there's billions of dollars to be made in that industry. If you look at what Middle Easterners have done, you look at what Chinese have done. So
Yes,
maybe at some point, me, you, Pierre, and the other people will talk about lessons from African gastronomy that the West needs to learn.
he is very big in Fonio. I mean, I follow him like a little puppy.
Okay,
I'm
okay,
behind him. When
okay.
I wrote my cookbook
Yeah.
in 2014,
Mhm,
there is a chapter in the book on Fonio.
mhm,
But at the time, I was still looking around,
mhm,
searching where in the world can I have this grain so that I can start making some
mhm.
recipes and educate people on this grain. I
Yes.
was not able to. As soon as I started my cooking channel,
Mhm.
my producer one day called me on the phone and said, "Do you know this African grain?" I just answered on the phone, Fonio. He was like, "What? How do you know?" I said, "Take my cookbook."
He said Pierre. Pierre. Well, I don't know what's the name.
No, that was this is my producer. He's my
Okay.
small business advisor in Washington D.C. He had
Okay.
called me to talk about the grain because he heard Pierre Cham talking about it in a cop uh, some meeting that they had
And I,
recently.
and I read about it from Bill Gates.
Good,
I read about it from
good.
Bill Gates, and I know
Yes,
he does his homework. So I
yes,
don't care about what people say. I know he does his homework.
yes.
Yeah.
So he told me, he said, "Look, if you need to help your people, jump on this bandwagon and start talking and making recipes from fonio and help your people to get this grain out because it looks like it's a very important grain.
Yes.
I told him, I said, look, I have been on this mission. Unfortunately, it dropped off my radar because I looked for the grain way back in 2014. Where are we today? 2024. This is 10 years
2014.
ago.
I was probably not even born at that time. That's a long time ago.
This is 10 years ago. I just given up because I was talking to a lady who was importing it. And every time I call her, I say, oh, we don't have it yet. But I just finally gave up. So when he mentioned it to me, I went online and behold, Target sells it, Amazon sells it. I started going from African store to African store. Asked, do you have fonio? Yes. I pick it up. I'm like, oh my God. So I started talking about it. So if you watch my shows on YouTube, you see me talking about fonio and showing you how to replace those who like oatmeal, cream of wheat, grits for breakfast. You can now replace it with fonio.
And yet have a better bang for your buck.
Yes. Look, it is so high in fiber that you need 2 ounces.
Yes.
2 ounces give you a bowl.
Wow.
Yes.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Yes.
Now,
yes.
We're running short on time here. So I want to ask, what other community engagement activities do you have to reach out to more and more people who become proponents, who become advocates of your brand, Motherland Kitchen, which I really love that name. What kind of community outreach programs do you have?
Okay, before I answer that last question, let me just say, I now have a mix for the fufu. Remember, nobody does fonio fufu. I now have fonio fufu on the menu.
Okay.
And I encourage vegans to eat it because they are the ones that are looking for plant-based protein.
Yes.
Because those who eat meat, fish, chicken, they have their protein from animals.
Yes.
Vegans are looking, so when they come in, the fufu that I tell them to eat is either the blue corn that is high in protein and folate, or the fonio that's also high in protein.
The fonio fufu.
Yes, fonio fufu.
Fantastic.
So I actually package it, and now I'm making bread from it.
No kidding.
Yes, I've made my recipe. I tried it. I just make on order. I make fonio bread for those who want to stay away from those who are. Oh, another important thing about fonio, it is gluten free. And you know, today there is a lot of gluten intolerance.
Yes.
So if you do fonio flour, there's no gluten. So those who are looking for gluten free bread, they can also reach out to me to get the flour and then get the recipe and bake their bread at home.
Wow, that is incredible.
Yeah. Okay. So let's put the fonio on the side. Now, the thing you asked me is what other things do I do?
Promotion, to promote yourself or to do community outreach, because clearly your mission is working.
Yes.
So how then you reach more people and make sure that they are aware of these hidden gastronomic secrets from Africa?
Okay. So now I attend all vegan shows in the DMV. I go there and I'm like a speaker, and then I do like a sampling, which is just $1. Just $1. So I have the little cups, and people just sample for just to pay me for my cost of producing the food.
Yeah.
So I can take like 8 to 10 different items: rice and beans, jollof rice, okra, mushroom, greens, cabbage, fufu. So they take small quantities, just $1. So I do those in the DMV, and even the shows that allow you to sell what your food is worth, I also go there, because when people come and taste the food, then they're like, oh my God, do you have a restaurant? Yes, this is my card. Then they drive and come. They're like, I don't care how far you are, we're coming. They come from Virginia, they come from West Virginia, they come from Pennsylvania, everywhere. They come from Baltimore, they come from Delaware. So I go out to those shows, and also I cook for schools. I cook for schools, because that's another place where the kids have friends that are of African descent, And maybe they've mingled with them and they've eaten some of our foods from their friends' homes or whatever. So the schools, they come to me and say, can you donate? So my own little contribution to the community is
Mm,
giving food. And typically it's not something that will break the bank. It's
okay.
foods that kids really love. And believe
Mhm.
me, there are only two of them.
What are they?
Jollof rice, puff puff.
Okay, okay,
Yeah.
okay,
Now I make the jollof rice vegan.
okay.
So that way, all the kids plus the instructors, the teachers, everybody can eat because there's no meat in it.
Yes.
Secondly, I make two types of puff puff. I make the regular puff puff, which is wheat,
Mm-hmm.
the regular whole flour,
Mm-hmm.
and I make the puff puff that I use the fonio flour.
No
And
kidding. No
yes,
kidding.
which is gluten.
How does that taste like?
It's kind of nutty.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of nutty because the grain itself is very dry. Since it grows,
Is it chewy?
no, it's not chewy. It's just nutty. It's just heavy and nutty.
Okay. Okay.
Yes.
Wow.
But then sometimes I make accra banana using
Yes.
that. So that way I can put banana in it to soften it a little bit.
Yes. Yes.
And still, it is gluten free. So when they go, I put a label on the pans, regular flour, gluten free flour. So the kids,
Mm,
when they come, because lots of kids are gluten intolerant today. So the parents will be so happy. Some come here to eat. They're like, thank you. My child is in so and so school. They had food from Motherland and they could actually eat the rice and they could eat the gluten-free fries that you made. So yeah, so that's how I reach out to educate and also to make people know that I'm here. And the restaurant is not only to sell and make money, it's also to educate and to help people to change their lives.
that is incredible. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. My very last question is it's a short question, short answer. What is the favorite book you've read? Your most favorite book?
My most favorite book is you'll be surprised. I think about this book all the time. Pride and Prejudice by Jane Eyre,
Okay. Jane
and I read
Austen.
that
Okay.
way back when I was in Lords.
Okay. Jane Austen.
Yes.
All right. And then who inspires you as an entrepreneur in small business or bigger
Oh,
business?
my mother. My
Your
mother.
mom.
My mother.
She was a businesswoman?
She was a small businesswoman when I was growing up. And
Mhm.
everything I do today is thanks to her. She was a patient, an asthmatic patient for 50 years. But
Wow.
it did not stop her from making the corn beer,
Mhm. Sure.
cooking the food,
Yeah.
and selling to send me to a Lady of Lords College. Can
And
you imagine?
subsequently to New Jersey. That is
Yes,
unbelievable. Kudos,
yes,
kudos, kudos.
yes.
The African mothers. I was also raised by a single mother, and I blast this off because I know how incredible they are. I know
Yes,
how powerful they are. And
yes,
I just want to say kudos to your mom for doing that because look at what you're doing to the world now.
yes. And the seasonings have her face. So if you go to
Unbelievable.
Motherland Spices and look at the bottles, all my labels have my mother's face. So I immortalize her. I keep her close. All the seasonings I have here in the restaurant, they all have her face. And I
That
say, thank
touches
you, Mami Doro.
that touches me straight from my heart. And when I wrote my second book, The Science of Storytelling, guess what? I also immortalized my mom. My
Yes,
dedication, of course, is to her. My first book was dedicated to her. Second book is dedicated to her. And I wrote a poem in her honor. So my point being, kudos to the African woman. Kudos to you for taking her message and bringing it to the world. And not only that, but touching people's palates is the best way to get into their hearts and into
yes,
their minds.
yes.
This has been an incredible journey, meeting someone on a different wavelength, completely different from whatever we talk about here on the Story Warrior channel. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you, madam. And I hope we'll still continue this conversation some other time. And to our viewers, if they want to find Motherland Kitchen, where should they go online if they want to order a book, to get familiar with your spices, to get familiar with your work? Where can they find you online?
Online, you can go to motherlandspices.com. That's where all the seasonings and the fonio flour, it's there. You can buy it and try it. And also, I'm a phone call away. My information is right there. Motherlandkitchen.com. You can ask me any questions. And because I write a book, I share my skills and my knowledge with everybody because everybody cooks differently. I cook from my heart because for me, cooking is a passion. Other people cook for different reasons. So I don't mind sharing to the minutest detail. When I go to class to teach, I take all my seasonings from the kitchen and the different salts that I use. I put them on the table. I show the students. I say, I use this one for this purpose. I use this one. I use this one. The only thing I don't use is Maggi, but I use the vegetarian no, which has no chemicals and no animal product. I use Vegeta. I use complete seasoning. I show them everything because, like I said, no two people cook the same. So there's no
Absolutely.
competition out there. I'm not scared of anything. And the vegan version of my cooking will be out by January, latest February. Vegans will also cook and enjoy the motherland cuisine.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you so much. This has
Thank you
been
for
a
having me.
very
Thank you.
unique version and unique episode of the Story Warrior channel, talking about flavors and spices from the motherland
Yes,
into the heartlands of America with Madame Sabina Jules. Ladies and gentlemen, take advantage of this. Go check out motherlandkitchen.com, check out the recipes, and take advantage of that because you never know how one touch of your tongue can transform your mind and make you to have a
exactly.
great life experience.